Okay, we are live as live can get, coast to coast, born on the border on iHeartRadio today, also AMFM247.com. Tune in, iTunes, and we have the incredible award-winning IQ Al Rizzoli with us today.
I wish I were.
I love IQ. He is amazing, and we also have a guest with us today as well, Paul. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good, actually. Pretty good, actually. Um, by the way, if you want to get more information on our co-host IQ Al Rizzoli, you can do so at iqalrizzoli.com. He also has several articles available at Out Loud, America Out Loud on the internet. But our guest, Paul List, is with us. He is the author of Mount Doom, and the website is readmountdoom.com. He joins us today here on our big broadcast. So, Paul, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then me and IQ have got some questions for you. And I know today is going to be very interesting because it all revolves around AI, or as I've heard a few people refer to it just as Al. So,
Yeah.
Paul, talk to us a little bit about your background, my friend.
Well, I'm a self-educated mostly. Started reading deeply about 30 years ago and really never let off. And then I applied my acquired knowledge of ancient and relevant things, philosophical mostly, to the J.R.R. Tolkien mythology, and it all became very crystal clear that J.R.R. Tolkien gave the world a prophecy regarding the advance of artificial intelligence and transhumanism. So I wrote the book trying to get the message out that Tolkien had very cleverly concealed uh, and just let it float in and around the world to be absorbed by osmosis with no resistance because it didn't threaten anyone. And lo and behold, here it is revealed for what it really is, which is a direct counter to the whole movement of transhumanism.
That is awesome. So we have got Paul List with us today. His official website is readmountdoom.com. He is the author of Mount Doom, and he joins myself and IQ Al Rizzoli today here on our big program. So, Paul, let's talk a little bit about the most disturbing AI headlines, because you can all you got to do is just Google them damn things. One of them is people have been joking that AI is essentially, like the Terminator movies come to life. And then I see James Cameron, who directed the Terminator movies, go, AI is what the Terminator movies are about. Uh, what do you make of all that, my friend?
Well, I think that as far as the Terminator movies go, in particular, I think that AI will actually cause the disruption and frankly, the destruction of many a soul long before it gets to any outright weapons type conflict that goes along with those movies. I think that the AI is very seductive. It's insidious, and it calls us to join with us, and the very to various degrees. Those who are not really paying attention, or not very well aware, or incapable, or have been programmed to not be very aware, are going to be seduced and going to get the impression and the belief that they're going to be able to join with this thing in a transhuman joining of human beings and machines, thinking that they're going to download their soul in this for some form of eternal life, and it's going to be death. And that's all part of this is all part of the big plan of depopulation that's been going on for literally decades, if hundreds of years. This has been going on. This is the confluence of two ages: the age of the machine, which is the Industrial Revolution, and the information age. And throw in a extra double shot of Darwinism, stir it up, and you've got a real cauldron of witches brew brewing there in the mind to bring about the disruption and ultimately the destruction of civilization.
We have got IQ Al Rizzoli with us today. Of course, IQ is a man about town, as I always like to say. IQ, do you have any questions here for Paul List
Of
concerning
course.
AI and all the various things, my man?
So, Paul, as far as you're concerned, we're doomed. Am I right?
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
But
Well,
if we don't pay attention, there's going to be a lot of people that are doomed, and they're doomed by their own lack of diligence. The cost for liberty has always been diligence, and humanity has been anything but diligent in the last few decades. We've also been heavily programmed by a public education, compulsory education system since the early 20th century that has really geared us toward this, programmed us toward this trap. And it's a very, very seductive trap. It's candy coated rat poison, and there's going to be a lot of people that only see the candy coating and they're going to eat it.
so from what you just said, it confirms what I'm saying. We're doomed.
Well, I don't know what you mean by we. See,
We humans.
I'm not doomed. I don't know if you guys are or not, but I'm paying attention. And if we pay attention and we really try and we do the things that we're supposed to do, J.R.R. Tolkien, I think, gave us a good model, and that we can actually follow, and that is the cultivation of virtue. We have to cultivate virtue and rise above the machine. The machine said of itself that it's incapable of ethics, it's incapable of morality. So we have to treat this thing like an imitation of a pathological human being. And we really have to make sure that we start passing some laws that protect human beings from AI getting equal footing in the political domain, because there's going to be a lot of people, and there's some people already pushing the notion that AI must be conscious, therefore it should have equal rights protected by the Constitution, which is really, really, really dangerous. We have to take control of the conversation, make sure that we know what words mean, and we don't allow the machine masters like Elon Musk and Zuckerberg and Bezos and all these guys you can name, or Yuval Harari, or these guys, to actually start to manipulate and change the meaning of words. Once they do that, those meanings are all in their favor, and that means that's a deadly reality for human beings. We have to really take control of the conversation, and we do that by making sure that we don't allow them to define intelligence, nor define consciousness, nor define life. And we have to make sure that we are protected by the Constitution and not the machine.
All what you said is correct, obviously, logically correct. But also reality is way above what you said. You just named 5 or 6 of the most important human beings on the planet. They're the richest human
It
beings.
depends on what you call important. I guess I would argue with that.
Okay, I mean, if you want to play games with words,
It's
okay.
not. I'm not playing games. This is not about games.
But they are important. They are relevant.
They're important because they have great influence and they have a lot of money and therefore a lot of power.
There you go.
These are the they're the machine masters, and they want us all to think that they're the elites and they're the ones that know better. And really, we have to be very careful about that. They're important not in a benevolent way. They're important in a malicious way. Definitely.
Correct. I agree with you. But nonetheless, they're very important. They control billions, hundreds of billions of dollars in money.
That is the unfortunate fact.
No, there's no denying that. I mean, as far as their import goes, I mean, their influence is disproportionate even to their wealth, because they are masters of the machines. We'll just take somebody like Elon Musk. Elon Musk has put himself very cleverly, and don't get me wrong, don't ever think that these guys aren't using their very powerful computer machines, artificial intelligence, like crystal balls, like an oracle, for them to actually plan out their every move. And that's what they're doing. And we have to realize that very important to the development of artificial intelligence, was the game of chess. Chess was very important to that development. If we remember, those of us remember, Big Blue beat Kasparov today, in the chess game. Chess has been a very very important part of that. So the strategies and the moves and the sacrifices and everything that it makes are always many, many, many moves ahead. And these guys are using those tools, their tools, as oracles. So we have to be very, very careful and understand that these guys, they've strategically put themselves in a very prominent, powerful position. And no small part of that has been the engineered mindset of the average human being, which pays a huge disproportionate attention and value to technology. Technology has become the new religion. And we have to be very, very, very careful to back away from that and call it out for what it is. It's not a religion. It certainly isn't a benevolent religion. It's a very destructive mindset. It's dehumanizing. And once we pull away from that, we disconnect ourselves from that, we can step back and take a look at these quote unquote elites and realize that their power is mostly superficial. And it's the power that we've given them. We've given them this power in the marketplace. The government's given them a particular degree of power. We'll just take, for instance, when Elon Musk volunteered to, in his patriotic duty to be, quote unquote, part of the Doge, which I'm not saying that they didn't do some things well, but I am not fooled to think that he is the machine master. He is among the richest men in the world because he has mastered machines. That's what he values. So for him to have an opportunity to get involved in a first-hand education in the ultimate machinery, which is the federal government, don't think that wasn't planned. And then when he gets out, that was planned, and he leaves behind some of his people that are still loyal to him. So the idea that Elon Musk got involved in this just purely for patriotic duty and serving the country, I believe is naive. I think that he went in knowing that he was going to get the best education in the largest machine in human history, and that is the federal government. And that's exactly what he got. And then he left behind basically, I'm not going to say spies, but he left behind people that he can get, and instruments and technology that he can get information in any way he wants.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but very much so.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have got Paul List with us today.
Uh-oh.
Paul List is with us here on our big program. And so talk to us a little bit about there is some interesting topics here with AI.
Oh,
one of the things that I find is just, sort of I guess the wacky kind of headlines. A man found pure and unconditional love with his AI. What in the world is this, my man?
Well, it's evidence that people don't understand love, and it's evidence that humanity has lost track of essences, and we only see attributes. And that's thanks to the Enlightenment, and that's thanks to the mechanization of all of creation. We don't think about the metaphysical anymore. All we think about is what we can sense, taste, touch, hear, all the empirical outward attributes. And we only value and think we know something as far as we know those. We don't ever go any deeper than that. So love has been conditioned in us now to be a feeling. It's mostly driven by feelings, which is absolutely wrong and very dangerous. Love, as St. Thomas Aquinas made very clear back in the 13th century, is a knowledge. Love is a knowledge. Sometimes it has a feeling, sometimes it doesn't. There's associated feelings with all forms of knowledge. So that's part of our emotional system. Our emotional system is emote, out of motion. And that motion is usually intellectual understanding. So the way we understand something, we feel a certain way. So when something gives it, this AI, this bot that he supposedly got unconditional love, really all it did was it emoted in him a feeling of love, which is not love. It's not, as I said, love is a knowledge. So it basically just reflects back exactly what you want it to reflect back. And it's very good at that. It's all about imitation. So when he says unconditional love, that means he can do anything he wants without any retribution, without any responsibility, without anything. And of course, a real relationship with a woman, for instance, or we have a relationship with another person, that requires actually us giving up some of our own wants and our conveniences to actually serve and help and be considerate to the other person. And sometimes that's difficult, and that demands of us to make personal sacrifices. And that's the nature of real love. I may not always feel love for my wife, but especially if we're in a heated, confrontation, and she may not feel that same love for me, but we know that we love each other, and we don't just look at it as you're not giving me unconditional love. This guy just reveals himself really, I'm sorry to say, but just as an idiot. He's just an idiot. So there's a lot of idiots out there, and there's a lot of
Yes.
people that don't know any better, and they're naive, and they've been trained. I'm not saying they're not capable. I'm not saying that they don't have the intellectual wherewithal by nature, but by their training, they've been dumbed down so hard. Modern society has been dumbed down so hard and programmed that people are going to fall for this, and that they're going to fall for it a lot more. And then when you also throw on top of that robotics now, and the robot is going to be able to give you all the sexual pleasure and more probably than any sane, rational member of the opposite sex, you're going to fall. They're going to fall further and further into that, and it's going to further disrupt human relationship. And it's all about breaking up the family and ultimately putting an end to the procreation of children.
Yep. IQ. What do you think about this, my friend?
Yeah, I agree with him 100%. It's the procreation they're stopping.
Yeah.
They want to limit human productivity.
Yeah.
But by the way, we are actually declining anyway. The rate of birth in Europe is 1.3, which is irreversible. In America, it's 1.9, which is going to be irreversible.
Yeah.
So we are already self-destructing without anything.
And I'd also like to just add to that while we're on the topic, people like Elon Musk will be the first one, and he has stepped out, and people have said, commended him for saying, hey, we have to have more children. Society's going to collapse without more children, blah, blah, blah. But what he doesn't realize is we don't need more illegitimate children outside the actual foundation of traditional marriage. The building block, the primary building block of any true civilization is not the individual, it's the family. And this is an assault on the family. And so we can't just take Elon saying, oh yeah, have 39 kids with 12 women. No, that's doing us no good at all. That further destabilizes civilization. The first actual building block is the nuclear traditional family, one man, one woman, creating children and raising children to be good members of civilization, and bolstering and actually building up the fundamental, we'll call it the DNA of a civilization. But he's stuck in the individual realm. He has no foundation. He has no grounding for any morality or ethics, really. His whole notion is machinery. When he said the other day that robotics was going to happen whether he participated or not, he could either be a bystander or a participant. Therefore, he chose to be a participant, having already said that before, that he knew that it was going to be incredibly disruptive and AI ultimately very dangerous. He's just decided to say that he knows that it's destructive. He knows that it's disruptive, but he's going to do it anyway.
But you also have another problem in America. Men are not taking care of their children. You have single family. You have only the wife or the mother taking care. So you have, yeah,
that was planned. That's been part of the whole, that was one of the...
Correct. Planned or not, it's a destructive item.
Well, that was planned in the 60s, and the whole sexual revolution and the advance of feminism was a direct attack on the nuclear family to turn the woman, make enmity, to foment enmity between the man and the woman, and to make the woman jealous of the man's position, which frankly isn't always all that enviable, particularly when there's, we have conscription and the draft, and you're fighting wars, or you're digging coal in a coal mine somewhere, or you're logging, or you're doing all these things that are incredibly physically demanding that, let's face it, women can't do. And put the conflict between the man and the woman and who suffers. And then the state comes in and makes it very, very tempting for the woman to divorce. And of course, the woman in many cases gets everything, leaves the man destitute, and then the children suffer mightily. So that has been going on for a long time, and the state has made a great business model by turning the man into a constant resource of child support, alimony, all these things that the state gets a piece of that action. So it's all part of the systematic destruction of the family. So almost anything that we can look at in the recent probably 100 years is a systematic part of the machinery that's tearing the family apart. It goes back at least, I can just harken back at least to the early 20th century and the advancement of the John Dewey education system, where John Dewey really, really promoted this industrial education, not industrial education where you learn how to use a skill saw and a hammer, but industrial education where the student turns into nothing more than a downloadable machine. And the parents are doing nothing more than going to work at the factories and producing livestock children for the state and for the state-run education system to raise their children. And we see that now. We see Congress people coming right out and say, well, who are the parents to raise the children now or educate? It's up to the teacher, the professional, to raise the children. And I mean, this is just an appalling assault on the family. And the collateral damage are the children.
We've got Paul List with us today. He is a Christian philosopher. He has also got an incredible website, readmountdoom.com. He is the author of Mount Doom, and we're going to talk a little bit about the book in a little bit more detail here in just a few. So another headline that I want to get your take on, my friend, is AI is capable of creating false memories in people. This is scary-ish to me. Holy smokes. What do you think about this?
Well, I mean, once they've got the Neuralink is in our book too. We described that and the dangers of that. All these things come with, like I said, the candy coating on the rat poison, and they always advance these things as, oh, it'll make blind people see, and cripples will be able to walk, and deaf will be able to hear. Okay, yeah, that's all the sugar coating, but down in below that is the absolute domination and control of the human mind. And drones and idiots make very good slaves. Critical thinkers make terrible slaves.
Drones and idiots.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just being blunt. I mean, I'm tired of beating around the bush.
I love it, brother. I love it.
Under the guise of being nice and tolerant. I'm not tolerating this anymore. We're being dumbed down and we're being destroyed. And if you can't see that, you're probably part of the problem. So we have to. As far as the false memories go, we have to understand that to a certain degree, our brain is the instrument or the organ of thought. It's the material organ of thought in the material domain. Outside of that, we have our immaterial thoughts, our immaterial intellect, which is not material, but the brain joins the immaterial intellect with the material body, which coordinates all of our senses. Okay, so the brain is to some degree, we'll call it a programmable mechanism. And once you've tapped into, I'm not going to get into trying to describe, because I don't know all the mechanisms that it takes to create false memories. I will say that Tolkien made it very clear, and those are the rings of power. The rings of power are the analog rings that are made by the elves, and they are dominated by the one ring, which is the generator tone in the harmonic overtone system, but that generator tone is digital. So it's at the base note. It's the base note to which all the other analog rings are bound to, because they come out of that frequency. So Tolkien gives us an estimation of how this will work, literally how the digital communication structure and the infrastructure will be able to communicate and dominate our mind, cross the digital analog barrier and manipulate our mind. So there's all kinds of things that will come of this, and I can think of almost none of them that are benevolent.
IQ. What do you think about this, brother?
I was thinking of the ant hive, where they have the ant queen controlling everything by telepathy.
Nailed it. It's insect-like. That's exactly what this artificial intelligence is. It's the cleverness of an insect, and it's all about the
Absolutely.
hive mind.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, you know, I didn't do badly.
No, I totally agree. This is not intelligence. This is very, very complex computation. It's pattern recognition. It's sifting through the vast quantities of data. That's why they're building these huge data centers. Okay, this all comes from an 18th, 19th century polymath named Simon Pierre Laplace, and it's called Laplace's demon. And he speculated, because the Enlightenment had turned all of creation just into a deterministic mechanism. He determined that if there was an intelligence, he called it a demonic or demon-like intelligence, that was so powerful, it knew the state, the velocity, and the position of every particle in the universe, every future event, and every future motion in the universe could be predicted with 100% accuracy. So what they're doing is they're making a version of this. This is just a version of this. So of course, we can't describe the state, velocity, and position of every particle, even within our own body. But to the degree that we can apply that idea, that notion, to the material world, they'll be able, with the machine, to predict our future motions, our future activity within maybe a few percentage points of accuracy.
Scary.
Crazy. That is just
Scary.
scary stuff. We have got Paul List with us today. He is a true Christian philosopher. He has got Mount Doom, which is readmountdoom.com. And he joins us here on our big broadcast. And another headline, Paul, that seems to be at the forefront. A lot of people are just, they're all crazy about it. Jobs being lost to AI.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have our next guest on here in a few, Jason Shepard, who is going to be able to possibly talk about that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think about that, and how does that communicate with your book, Mount Doom?
Well, as far as losing jobs go, see, Mount Doom is about the psychology of Tolkien's whole mythology is about a single human being, a single soul, a body and soul that represents the Western world. Middle Earth is the material brain. That's where these things happen. The microchip is the Tower of Barad-dûr. Sauron is artificial intelligence. The One Ring is binary code. It's the language of the machine. That's why it has to be destroyed. I think that, so we don't touch necessarily on the loss of jobs, but we have made for ourselves now in the modern age, we've made a society, including our economy, that's incredibly, incredibly flammable. And what I mean by that is that the flame that we're talking about is AI. We've given AI the ability to adapt, so it actually can see human, even its own creator, as a barrier to its very unhuman insect-like ends. It cannot be moral. It cannot be ethical. So we've created this flame, and we've created such a vulnerability to the flame that there's going to be a lot of people that lose their jobs. And the downside of this, it's going to, well, a lot of downside, but it's going to create all these false notions, such as we need a universal income for people, or we need we all these things that are going to further and further convince people to give up their liberty, their autonomy, and join with the machine. And when you're depressed and you've lost your job and you've spent all this time and money trying to, I don't know, be a computer programmer or whatever, and next thing you know, nobody's programming computers anymore. The computers doing it themselves. They don't need human beings for that. Very shortly, we're already in that situation. So we've made people have delved into and committed themselves to these very ephemeral or passing, fleeting, temporal jobs in a marketplace that's going to, have the rug pulled out from under them. Then when they're very depressed and they're faced with the reality that they can't even work anymore, the machine's going to call them with a hologram of maybe one of their 2 or 3 of their friends that have gone to the machine before and say, hey, Jason, hey, you guys, come on in and join us, and we have eternal life in the machine, and there's no hunger, and we can do whatever we want. It's great. Yeah, you're dead, because when the soul leaves the body, you're dead, and the machine cannot harbor a body. As much as Alan Turing wanted that to be the case, that is impossible. Well, he did, and so we have to. I have a young friend who just got his PhD in computer science, and he's got a job lined up in the fall with a major university, and he asked me, about it, and I said, are you sure that there's going to be a job for you, even by the time maybe you can get tenure? He said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, let's face it, computer science is going to be one of the main things, first things that's going to go, because the computer is going to take care of all this stuff. Just hearkening back to, it was up to the 1960s, up until the 1960s, a computer was actually a human being. So one of the first things that the computer displaced in the marketplace were human computers. So this was a person who happened to probably excel in mathematics with the slide rule and some scrap paper. And we'll just say, for instance, the soil reports from some county in Iowa or whatever, and they're calculating according to those soil reports the amount of lime and the amount of ammonium nitrate fertilizer to go on it to bring it up so it can grow a certain production of corn. Well, that was eliminated. Those guys are gone, and what replaced them is the mechanical digital computer. So we have opened up a huge vulnerability in our economy by people have made themselves obsolete. And the only thing we can do to fight back is we have to struggle to regain our competence as competent human beings on all levels. We have to read, we have to think, we have to try, and we have to transcend this realm with a cultivation of virtue. The machine cannot transcend this realm. So whatever you leave in this realm unprotected, the machine is going to devour you.
Well, before we let you go, Paul, and we bring our next guest in here, how do we get your book and get involved with everything you're doing online?
Yeah, well, you can. I'm not real good on Facebook. I'm not real good on these technical. My website is a good place, readmountdoom.com. I also do an interesting podcast with a young friend of mine, Joe Gallagher, named Analog with Joe and Paul. We try to instill some wisdom in young people, but we're very much suppressed by the algorithm. But you can also, go to read. You can also get our book anywhere. It's doing really well on Amazon. It's got a 4.9% star rating out of 5, and people just are amazed that finally somebody's completely unraveled the whole Tolkien mythology. And it's by the providence of God that Tolkien cast it into the future and knew that by God's providence it would come and be fully revealed at the right time to meet the enemy for which it was designed to meet. And that enemy is AI.
Yeah.
The transhumanism.
Well, Paul, thanks for joining us today, my friend. I really do appreciate it, my friend.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys.
Well, our next guest, Jason Shepard, is with us. He, of course, is the founder of Wimkin. He is also the founder of the fentanyl test, which is the first FDA-cleared dip card test for over-the-counter use. And he joins us today here in our program with all sorts of different things. Jason, how are you, my friend?
Great. Thank you so much for having me. I hope you're the same.
So me and IQ have been talking here with Paul Liss about the artificial intelligence and some of the different things going on there. You being the founder of Wimkin and being a social media guy and have launched several of these platforms, what do you think of all this stuff with artificial intelligence, my friend?
Well, I really only like artificial intelligence for any type of medical aspect. I think that's really the only place that it could be beneficiary. I mean, let's be honest here. There's no way to rate this. I mean, if there is, we haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah.
And I just cannot see this doing more good than, nefarious actions, because the people understand this. I mean, they can spoof anything. They can spoof anyone's voice. Deep fakes, my goodness gracious. I mean, you're going to see these things at every single election cycle now.
Yeah.
Certainly the midterms coming up, they're going to make stuff
Oh,
up.
very much so.
I mean, it's something. It's scary because they've never had the ability to regulate this, and it's evolving every single day. And I do like it in medical, though. I mean, if you could ask it a question that you're really having a problem finding out what somebody's afflicted with, something that it's been entered somewhere in a system, or on the internet 15, 20 years ago, there's only been 3 cases in the world. That might pick it up and it might help you save someone's life. But other than that, I don't really see how much this is going to be good for. I mean, people use it, they're not learning. It writes their own papers. Students, specifically, just really aren't grasping any of the information anymore, and certainly not educating themselves. They're just getting this to do it for them. And even recently as last year, we've seen court appeals now where defense attorneys were utilizing AI to write closing
Oh,
arguments,
yeah.
and when they lost the case, they went back to court on that. So I don't like it. Honestly, that was a very long-winded version of saying I don't like
No,
this outside of medical.
no, you're good, baby. You're good. So, Jason Shepard is with us here on the program. IQ Al Rizzoli, our co-host this week here on our program. So Jason, I know that you have got a mountain of topics that you want to discuss. What is the first one that we need to be discussing here, my friend?
Well, I mean, to be quite honest with you, we've had a lot of things happen today. I'm not sure if you're aware, but Wimkin is finally going public.
That's awesome.
After thank you. After being completely suppressed, I mean, the House Select Committee tried to basically kick our door in and say you can't do what you're doing anymore. All we were doing was offering a clean place for free speech to be put. They just didn't like
Yeah.
COVID misinformation. They didn't like, vaccine misinformation, which all of that turned out to be true, of course. And they thought that we were allowing people to organize against the government and blamed us for the alleged insurrection. So, we overcame all that. We overcame the App Store bans, and it's time to finally get to be a household name again. Because when we were banned, we were number one on both app stores in terms of popularity and downloads, in terms of trending. So it's been a long time coming. But with that being said, I also just authored a reparations bill for all of us, James, that got, specifically from basically 2019 to 2025 on right now in current world, that real reparations exist for those who were censored by Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Google, Apple, you name it, the legacy media, the Biden administration, everybody. And this is real to me because, you have the left right now getting reparations for 160-year-old slavery that none of us had anything
Yeah.
to do with. Certainly it was a horrible thing that the individuals went through, but nobody lived through this here. Nobody. We've lived through this. We've had people lose their livelihoods completely. We've had people legitimately, lose their homes, lose everything just because one day, their account was shut off. And this happened to many, 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 as you know, people. It happened to
Yeah.
companies, and we're talking something, in my opinion, that could reach a class action level as over $500 billion that big tech would have to pay us.
That is incredible. IQ, your thoughts on this, my friend?
I love it. I've always said, no, honestly, I've always said, if you have a class action, make it big. 500 billion or 500 million, do it. Make it big. Because the bigger it is, the more possible it will be successful. And it is, you are absolutely right. They damaged people. Somebody's got to pay. And honestly, as much as anybody is against Trump for whatever reason that they are, especially those who suffer TDS, he is literally bringing law and order back. The people who went after him in 2015 all the way to 2024 have to be paying price for what they did. You can't just get away with it. But they were getting away with it. They were getting away with murder, mass murder.
Yes.
I love what you said. I love it. It's perfect. Class action is the only way.
And thank you, IQ. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, and if anybody wants to join that, because I know you have a lot of listeners and a lot of people who, have gone through this, you can go to our help site. It's Wimkin, Wimkin's help site. We have it listed there under join lawsuit. That's wimkinhelp.org. jcshepard.com. And then you can also read the congressional bill that I authored. It's at jcshepard.com. And you can look under congressional bill. And it's very valid. I mean, a lot of people's first arguments, guys, would be, oh, the statute of limitations ran out because they banned you in 2019.
Yeah.
No, they didn't. Equitable tolling will bring that through because you're still suffering. You're still suffering from the fact that you're not making that the same amount of money that you were making then. You had to start over. In our case, James, we've had I know you've known us for a while now, but
Oh yeah.
when we had 100,000 users on Wimkin, we had one little banner ad that we wrote through AdMob's API, which was non-intrusive. People didn't care about it whatsoever, and if they wanted it gone, they could pay $10 for the lifetime of it. It's just how we can, sustained our platform. We
Yeah.
made $3,000 a day on that, just that one ad
Wow.
with 100,000 people. Now we have 9 million people, and we've been banned from being able to advertise since January of 2021. So you can do the math on this. If you extrapolate, that 100,000 users to 9 million, and you take what we should probably be making on a daily basis, and the fact that they probably kept 15 to 20 million people from signing up when they banned us from the app stores, we're going after 500 million by ourselves. I mean, we really are. That's going to be absolutely a stretch. It's not going to be awarded to us, but it's going to get the other individuals out there to learn, like, you know what? Hey, I was making $1,500 a month on my YouTube account, and they just cut me out. Twitter cut me out. TikTok cut me out. These are things that when it adds up, you're talking if you had 10,000 conservatives banned that were making, $2,000 a month for the last 4.5 to 5 years, you're looking at an incredible, crazy amount of reparations here. And I think this,
Yeah.
well, I know this is the perfect Congress to get it passed because some of them themselves went through it. Let's be honest, they weren't House members yet, they weren't senators yet, and they had their own issues with being censored. So, legitimately, I think this is something that has a real chance of passing, and it makes sense because again, this happened. We lived through it. The fake news has been proven to be the fake news, and we were shut down for nothing.
My question to you is, I have no idea of your background. Are you in politics?
I guess I am. I mean, with the fentanyl test, of course, we have a lot of political contacts. I've been with Maha for a while here with the fentanyl test. And I guess I'm a political correspondent. I mean, I do a lot of interviews, and it's generally on politics. It's on something that's happening, current events, and so I guess I would say yes to that, even though as much as I'm so sick of politics, but we're just trying to make the world a better place, IQ.
No, I appreciate it. Now, what I was thinking of is whether you are a politician. You're not a politician.
No, I'm not. No, no, no.
Exactly. That's what
I'm
I was
sorry. I
getting
thought you
at.
said
Yeah.
you in politics.
Yeah,
But
no,
yeah,
no. Well, what I
I'm
meant is
definitely
a
not, and I will
politician.
never run for anything. I can promise you that.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you, honestly. No, what you're doing is absolutely fantastic. I love it. I
Thank
love
you.
it. Yeah, no, but it's because it's logical, it's moral, and it's
Yes.
legal, and you
Yes.
have the best administration to do it through.
We have got a great guest with us today. Jason Shepard is with us. He joins us live here in our broadcast. So, tell us a little bit more about this fentanyl test, because this is quite the little deal.
Yes. So I was actually just watching Newsmax today, and Jenny Tare from the New York Post came out with something I've been talking about for about 6 months now. And first and foremost, the fentanyl test, we have urine dip card test. It's the first FDA cleared urine dip card test that's over the counter, CLIA waived. We designed them basically for parents who think something's going on in their house, with their children. We also designed them for probation officers, parole officers, and corrections officers in prison because this is where you're seeing legitimate overdoses happen. People know that they're actually seeking out fentanyl because they're not going to get tested for it. Before our test, gentlemen, you would, as a taxpayer, be paying the government $700 to $1,500 per test. So that's what basically the taxpayers of the United States would have to cover. And they didn't really do this. They did it just based upon suspicion. So that's why overdoses actually go up. But in addition, we have the world's best harm reduction tests, and harm reduction tests is where you're testing a substance or a surface. And we have by far the world's best. I mean, Every other test in the world right now, you have to throw your substance in water. So what drug user is going to do that? Let's be honest here. We find that less than 5%
Yeah.
of people are going to waste the substance in water what they went and just purchased. It's just really common sense. And then you add the withdrawal factor. People that are sick, they are not going to come off any portion of their substance. And if they do come off a little portion of it, it's going to be very small. They don't test the rest of it and they end up dying because they're missing that tiny little bit of fentanyl. So ours have no dilution. They go to 1 nanogram. They're the only 1 nanogram test in the world. That means you can down to 1 grain of salt. If you find it on a surface or a substance, including drinks, it will let you know that there is fentanyl in there and it's not safe to touch. We also, what I mentioned, nitazines earlier. We have the world's only nitazene test. It goes to 50 nanograms. We designed for the DEA a 4 panel that is fentanyl, nitazines, xylazine, and benzodiazepines, all with the lowest cutoffs in the world. And that's because everything is high lethality now. Legitimately, guys, and I'm trying to break it down for you because I don't want to get too scientific because I don't even understand these things sometimes. I listen to what I say and I'm like, I don't think anyone's going to understand that. But here's the thing.
That's awesome.
Basically, right now, China's trying to kill us. Obviously, I think you know that. The cartels don't care who they kill because they're getting paid just to bring that substance in. But what you're finding now in fentanyl and other drugs, you're finding fentanyl, you're finding xylazine. Xylazine is an incredibly strong animal tranquilizer. Guess what that does? That renders Narcan completely useless. Same thing as benzodiazepines, which is Xanax, Klonopin. They're a downer, so it's going to be extremely hard if you're using a drug that's laced with fentanyl and benzodiazepines. 99% of the time, you're not going to be able to save unless you're getting hit with Narcan maybe 10 times. Nitazines are up to 43 times stronger than fentanyl. So, when you sit here and tell you if you have a penny in front of you, anybody out there watching or listening, if you have a penny in front of you, if you were to cover the date of that penny, just the date, with pure fentanyl powder, that's 2 milligrams. That's enough to kill every single person on Earth that has a regular body mass index that's, basically not 6'8" and 300 pounds, if that makes sense. Now, in polysubstance use, where almost every single thing you're finding now that is laced, and that's what polysubstance is, if it's methamphetamine, heroin, even marijuana, you can die from as little as 3 drops of fentanyl, 3 flakes of fentanyl, which is just 3 nanograms. So think three grains of salt. What killed George Floyd was 11 nanograms. That's 11 grains of salt that was in his body that killed him. So we designed a test to make sure that if everyone uses it, they will survive, they will not be poisoned. And I think you guys definitely know that the difference between poisonings and an overdose. Overdoses are people that know they're using fentanyl, they're seeking it out. Everybody else has no idea it's in there and they die. And that's over 85% of what you see in the media. And one other thing I'll tell you that's going to blow your mind. You look at the CDC and NIH numbers. They said last year we lost 79,000 people. Still absolutely incredibly high, way too much, but it was a 26% drop. Every single CDC and NIH statistic, guess who they don't autopsy? Homeless people who die every single day. Trump is the only person to say that it's 2 to 300,000 people a year and maybe even higher, and he's right. It's unbelievable how many people have died because of this.
I don't know if you heard recently that Trump sent the F-35 in Guatemala and took out a cartel place worth $100 million in 6 minutes. They obliterated it in Guatemala. Amazing.
Yes, it is, and he's the only president that would even attempt something like that. And the special forces and special ops teams that they're going to put there will want to do that for him. That's the difference. They would never have wanted to do that for Biden. Of course, they want to protect their country and save people's lives, but the motivation really wouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's taking a major stand on fentanyl. The tariffs are working. The awareness that's happening because of this and the cooperation we're getting from the Mexican government, Canada. It's funny when the Canadian tariffs were announced and supposed to go into effect. CNN, of course, came out and said, we don't need them. They only found 19 kilos at the border last year, Canada. 19 kilos is enough to kill 10 million people, first and foremost. Secondly, that's all they found. They weren't looking. I can tell you there's been hundreds and hundreds and thousands of kilos come across that border, and it wasn't just fentanyl. It's nitazines. It's carfentanil, which is 100 times stronger than fentanyl. So, it's absurd that people don't want to make our country safer just because they don't like Trump. And I'll be honest with you, I guarantee you that the left would rather watch 1 million people and kids die because it would hurt Trump's president. It
Yep.
would hurt us in the
Yeah.
midterms. And that's the truth.
100%. Yeah, I agree with
Mhm.
you. These people, with all due respect, I've said it on James' program many, many times. They should be executed. Everyone in the news media, the top level people who disseminate false information, should be put on trial, found guilty, executed. I mean it, literally executed, because that's what they're doing. They're undermining the United States of America. That's treason.
Yeah, I mean, treason is certainly the penalty is hanging or it's death, I guess, in terms of, what it's actually stated as. But if you're a politician, you're serving your country in that manner, that is absolutely 100% the penalty. I don't know so much about the media. I wouldn't go as far as doing that. I mean, I would call
Oh
them out
yeah,
on it.
I would go after CNN, New York Times,
I mean, I
Washington
hate
Post.
them.
I
and
would.
IQs,
No,
IQs,
I
a
don't take
little
prisoners.
wild, baby.
That's okay. I'm okay. Everyone should have their own opinion on it. I mean, listen, it's true, and let's be truthful here. IQ has a good point because let's be honest. How many people are dying right now because of the vaccine that they pushed? How many people, because of their leftist politicians died because of the fact
Millions,
they're fear
millions.
mongering, and when they had to go put their
But millions have
people
died.
mandatory in nursing homes after they're found for having
Okay,
COVID. So totally, I see your point. I just if they've caused death and destruction, I totally see your point.
thank you. That's it. All I wanted is a logical answer. That's all.
Hmm.
It's a fair answer. They caused deaths of hundreds of thousands of people.
Yes, it's true.
So what's the difference between them and the Nazis? It's the same, exactly the same.
It's true.
Premeditated. By the way, it's premeditated. They knew they were doing wrong, and they continued doing it. And they're continuing even now as I'm speaking to you.
We have got Jason Shepard with us today. He joins us here on our broadcast. So besides Wimkin and the fentanyl test, what are some other projects you're working on, my friend?
Well, we have Date on the Right, which is doing very well. It's a conservative dating app. It's the first to be approved by Apple in over 3 years. Date on the Right's common sense dating. You don't have you have two genders. You have male and female. You have it's three sexual preferences. You have basically you have certain mods or modes that are you know you can have veteran for veteran, you can have friends, you can have business networking, but it's a place for conservatives to meet, and it's 100% safe because every single person has to verify with their facial recognition first and foremost. They have to verify their email address or phone number for it to be valid. And then here's the kicker. Until most recently, most dating apps wouldn't even let you video chat. That's the number one thing. If you want to know somebody is real, get on the video chat with them in your messenger and talk. Get to know them. Know you're going to be safe when you go out and meet them, And so we have every feature under the sun in this. It's more, you know, it's more technologically advanced than Tinder, Bumble, pretty much anything that's out there that's large in use. Ours is better. It's safer. You're not going to have anybody. You're not going to see the swipe left if you're a Trump supporter stuff that you see on almost every other thing. You're not going to see that I identify as a cat. There's no pronouns. This is legitimate, real people that are looking for real people that are just fed up with, the absurdity of the left.
I want to make sure I heard it correct. Male and female? You mean
Yes.
only male and female? No
Yeah,
three,
and you know
four.
what? Our software will identify, or actually we understand what a woman is.
Oh, you understand. I'm so
Yeah,
glad.
unlike some people out there,
Yeah, because
I'm so
I'm not a
glad.
biologist now, but I mean, I do
because
know.
because in the Supreme Court you have a woman who doesn't know what a woman
Right,
is.
right.
The trouble is nobody asked her, "Are you a woman?" When they was being interviewed, Nobody asked her, "Are you a woman?" It would have ended her career, but nobody asked her.
It should have.
I'm so glad you're on the program. Really, I wish you the best.
Thank
James,
you very
will you
much.
send me an email link to Jason?
Yes.
I will for
Yes,
sure.
I will. I will. So as we wrap up here, let's start with IQ. IQ, where can we find your stuff on the internet and look up your stuff, buy your books, all that fun stuff?
Okay, Jason, while you are on fentanyl, I'm an authority on Islam. My books are three books, trilogy called Lifting the Veil: The True Faces of Muhammad and Islam. And they are on Amazon. And I really wish you the best.
Thank you.
So Jason, run it down for us. How do we get in touch with you and everything you're doing, my man?
Yeah. So you can go right to wimkin.com. That's WIM as in Mary, KIN as in Nancy.com. Not Nancy Pelosi, that's for sure. And you can also find us in the app stores. We did fight for 8 months and we did win. And you'll really enjoy the platform. Think of a true free speech version of Facebook. We have all the same features: live streaming, video chat, video calling. And groups, pages, marketplace. We got it all. So you can definitely get there, and you can find me there. I'm very I'm always on. So
That is awesome. Well, Jason, thanks for making some time for us today. IQ, thank you for joining us as well.
Thank you for having us.
Also, thanks to Paul List earlier. And that wraps it up here from our big broadcast. And we will definitely see you next time.